Back when I lived with an ex in LA, California, I had an orange and white female pit bull named Missy. One night, when I took her out front in my yard to go to the bathroom, my next door neighbor, I recognized him but had never spoken with him before, was walking by. There was no other people around, and the street was completely empty besides him, myself, and my dog. He struck up conversation, and suddenly and abruptly began quickly walking into my yard and right at me. He was big, gross, creepy, and probably in his 40s or 50s, while I was only 19. It was one of those moments where someone does one small thing that normally wouldn't seem threatening, but your instincts, your feelings just immediately start telling you that something is wrong and you are in danger. My dog suddenly pulled at her leash, snarling and barking at the guy. She even had a line of fur down her back that was standing straight up. She was always the nicest dog, never acted that way. I guess her instincts were freaking out just like mine were. The man stopped dead in his tracks, stared at my dog with fear on his face, then looked up at me and asked me, "Does your dog bite?" And even though she never bit anyone, I lied and said, "Yeah, she bites," while looking him right in the eye and not blinking. He quickly backed out of my yard and rushed into his house and never tried to talk to me again, even though I lived next door to him for several years after that. Years and years later, after I had broken up with my ex I lived with, I moved back home to Oregon. I was bored one day and I'd recently learned that there's a website where you can see if any sex offenders live in your neighborhood. I decided to check it out because I loved going for walks at night, but no longer owned a dog who could protect me. I looked up my area where I lived, then decided to look up the area I had lived in California. A picture of that creepy next door neighbor popped up on my phone. He was a sex offender, and the whole time I lived there, I never knew. So that's the story of how my dog saved me from being attacked by my neighbor who was a sex offender. I loved that dog, and I miss her.